Hi, Becca, on your real account. Hi. Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing? You're insane and you just emailed your uncle. Why? Becca is back. But wait, why are we insane and what did you email him about? Hi, Mom. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. How's everyone doing? It's sunny today. It hasn't been sunny in a long time. We've had like days and days and days of rain, so, you know. I just rated my baby bin for, yes, I can't wait. Thank you, Ray. Oh dear, this is very full. Full of pods. Trying to do the bend down while holding the baby is difficult. I can do almost everything holding her, but bending down while she's in this particular carrier. Oh, medical history, that makes sense. That does make sense. So I can do almost everything holding her, but bending down in this carrier is hard because it's hard for me to squat right now. Can she wave to me? She's asleep, Mom. She's asleep. But she would love to see you tomorrow. She will see Grandma tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Yes, she does have the cutest hands. I tend to agree. She has the cutest little hands. We did miss Becca. I agree. I'm trying a new sugar-free creamer this morning. We'll see if it's good. I don't know. Yay! Hi, Amanda. Hello to all. I got on a little early because I was desperate for my coffee. For those, okay, Roxy, I have the cup to show you. If you just give me 1 second, it's filling right now. What I was going to tell you all is we had our first bath yesterday, and we were very upset. We did not like the first bath. The email about the bag, yeah, I responded to you, Roxy. I already got it, and it was fantastic. She's so excited, you don't even know. But I do have the cup to show you right now. Yeah, I responded to you, Roxy. It was so amazing. I can't believe you did that for us. That was so great. She literally is like screaming, and she told me that I am required to, on her behalf, give you a custom slime for your hard work. I know, I'm so cool. So I responded to let you know that my sister is sponsoring a custom slime for you because I tried to tell her that this was a gift and that I should just make you the custom slime. And she said no, she wanted to say thank you to you herself. So she wants you to have a custom slime on her behalf, which I thought was the sweetest thing. She's so excited, you guys. Like, she was like screaming yesterday. You don't even know. Roxy found the bag. She did, and I got it for my sister, and she's very excited. But you wanted to see the Marie cup yesterday. I hope this is the one you were talking about. I know I have the other one, but the other one's at my mom's house, so I don't have the other one to show you. But this is the Marie cup that I do have here. Yeah, Roxy found the bag, you guys. She's a hero. True heroism. My sister is so excited, you guys. Like, you don't even know the truth. You literally don't even know how excited my sister is about this. She, like, sent me so many text messages yesterday in all caps lock because she was so happy. And she said she wanted to tell this amazing woman thank you herself. And I was like, well, come to book club then. And she was like, I have 2 children. And I was like, that's fair. Clearly you are. You You are a master. You're glitchy. Oh no, don't be glitchy, Becca. Not glitchy. You don't like glitchy. Hi, sweet girl. Please don't tell me you're gonna wake up now. I very much doubt that she will wake up because she was up so much last night. So much. If you go out and back in, does it fix it, Becca? Gotta pop in and stay in the back of it. Yes. Yeah. No, don't update it. Definitely don't update it. I wouldn't do that either. But it's in the store, so Becca was able to get it back. I'm gonna leave this with Secret Husband's coffee, so that when he comes out to get his coffee, he will see his Valentine card. Yeah. So, yes, we had our first bath yesterday. We were very upset. We did not want to have a first bath, and we retaliated by keeping Mommy up all night as penance for her wrongdoings. And by her wrongdoings, I mean me, my wrongdoings by deigning to give this young lady a bath. How could I? What was I thinking? Yes. Truly, truly terrible. Yes, it is the anniversary of our engagement day. That's right. Yes, it's true. Yes, I tried to tell her that soon enough her baths will include bubbles and toys and she'll never want to get out, but she didn't believe me, and she looked at me like I was a monster. And that's what happened. Yes. Yes, that's what happened, huh? And then we were up all night. I did do that. Yep. I had one all over her whole body, actually. And I only just removed it from the parts of her that were being cleaned in the moment. So she didn't care, right? She did not care what I did. She was just going to be angry. Yes. Yes, she did. She gave the I summon all of my aunts to come and protect me face. And every single aunt that she has responded the same way. They all said, tell that baby I'll come get her. And I won't ever make her take a bath. And I will... I know, she's supposed to be a water baby. She's an Aquarian and a mermaid. What the heck? Your kids freaked out at bath time until you figured out the water was just too cool. Interesting. Maybe I need to warm it up a little more. I thought it was pretty warm, but she might also just be dramatic, you know? Like, she is my child. She might just be the drama, which is totally possible. Okay, I'm gonna put you guys down for 1 second so that I can put my cup down. Okay, we're gonna get settled. We're gonna get settled, sweet girl. Yes, we are. Yes, she is a pretty dramatic little princess. And you know what the funny thing is? Yeah, she doesn't want to be cold. That's right. She doesn't want to be cold. You're having an art day today. I love that. Oh, yes. Do a voodoo doll for the orange. Yes, I fully support your endeavor, Miss Anya. I'm so happy. Oh, yeah. I'm happy for you. Isabella, I know that it's hard to lose a pet. It's never fun. It's never fun. I'm gonna have some of this coffee before we start reading. Who does want to be cold? Becca. Becca wants to be cold. Ah, delightful. Delightful. Yeah, whose kids actually got to go to school today, considering all the snow there is? Hi. You'd much rather be cold than hot. I knew that about you. See, that's why I said it. Ah, coffee. You have 10 inches? Did you just change your profile picture in the moment while we were here, or did it just, oh, it gave you a new ranking and it covered your profile picture? No, still here, just freezing. I'd rather snow than freezing, if I'm being honest. I'd also rather snow than rain. Did you guys know that about me? A snow day yesterday and a PDD today. Wait, oh, professional development, that's what it is. Holiday on Monday. So basically you're never having school again, Sloth. Is that what I'm hearing from you? They just said, never mind. Amanda, I like that how you said until this afternoon. I'm like, that's a really long time. We have 16 people in my direct office. 2 of us are here. Yikes. But you don't have snow, Jen. I thought it was just cold. It has been very rainy for us, Anya. But today it's very sunny. Is it sunny for you? Wait, why the whole week? Is it that like ski week thing, Becca? Snow is soundproof. Is it really? I do have the baby this time. Daddy took the early shift last night, so I'm letting him sleep. Hey, Mel, welcome back. Wait, why do we get Monday off? Is Monday President's Day? Is that what it is? I like how I said get Monday off as if that means anything to me right now. I know. President's Day is canceled for the current person, but I'm okay celebrating previous presidents. Some of them, not all of them. You know? Sun but dark clouds. We don't have any dark clouds here, Anya. So maybe you're getting, I don't know which direction the wind is right now, but maybe you'll get what we have right now. I mean, you're not that far from us in the grand scheme of things. Okay. Thanks to show in service this weekend, President's Day, my kids are in the middle of 6 days off. That's what everyone's been saying, Jillian. Excuse me. Everyone has like all the days off because, sorry, I have the hiccups because of snow, etc. Boop. Boop. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna move this a little closer to me so that you guys can hear me and I can, what else do you want to tell them? All of your book club aunties are equally mad at me for giving you a bath. They support you in your distaste of baths. They think that I should let you be dirty forever. That's what they think. They said they'll snuggle you all warm and they'll never make you go in the water. Except for Ray. Ray said you're supposed to be a water baby. Bringing Cam and Cass out for their second date. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. You're not mad at an excuse to work from home? Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, I work from home all my work, but you know, I was just gonna say she's telling you off. Yes, she is. She's telling me off for bathing her. She's been telling me off since last night. You don't like baths either, Anya? I'm a bath girl. I love baths. I love them. I know, those pictures of their first date were so cute. I freaking love it. I can't wait to make them a slime that is like a couple slime. We're gonna do it. Okay, so today, I agree, Jillian. I think baths are the best, and I'm not allowed to take them right now. I have 6 weeks, no baths. Very sad. I'm very glad that the day she was born, I decided to get in a bathtub. I will, Roxy, thank you. The day she was born, when I was feeling contractions, I was like, maybe I should take a bath. I'm glad I did, because now I'm not allowed to take a bath for 6 weeks, which makes me sad pants. You get to take baths, and you screamed about it. Yeah. Can we fix your ear? Wait, there we go. Is that better? Okay, we're asleep. So let's read since we're asleep, and at least we can get through some of this. Bubble bath beer. Yeah, I'm not a beer person, I'm a wine person, but I get you. My daughter can't take them because it irritates her. That's fair, Mel. That's totally fair. That's totally different. We didn't even like submerge her in the water. You know what I mean? We put her in one of those baby bath things, and we just did like the washcloth thing. You know, it's not a real bath yet, even. But she's clean. You're clean. Yeah, all your bits are clean. I cleaned all your beautiful neck rolls. Yes, you have neck rolls now. They're beautiful. They're beautiful. I home grew them. Yes, I did. I grew every roll on your neck and every roll on your little armies. And your kneecap rolls, I grew those too. Yes. I wish I still had a water sling today. A water sling? Oh, that's cool. It happened about age 2. Oh, something to look out for. Zoe and Ethan, my nephew and niece, they love baths. Whenever I go watch them, trying to get them to get out of the bathtub, yeah, right, good luck. Good luck trying to get them out of there. Thank you, Katie. That's so sweet of you to say. Whenever I've been down there babysitting them, I like literally have to drag them out of the bathtub kicking and screaming. I'm like, guys, it's story time and bedtime. And they're like, no, bath. And I'm like, you just had like 40 minutes in the bath. You're 2. Let's go. Baby rolls are the best. When she was born, she didn't have any rolls because she was so small. She's only just starting to get rolls now, and I take the rolls very seriously. I want her to have all the rolls. I want her to bounce. I want her to be perfectly chunky and well fed, right? Yes, we need rolls, huh? Neck rolls, arm rolls, leg rolls, little croissant thigh rolls. Yes. My kids only like a bath if I'm not washing their hair too. We did wash her hair. We did do that. Okay. Let us read chapter 23. Let's see. All right. Here we go. Let's see. London Bridge is falling down, falling down. Iron bars will bend and break, my fair maiden. A spell for rust, requiring salt water and joined hands. Juniper wakes to a series of mysteries. The first mystery is her own skin, which she remembers as battered, mistreated, like a worn-out suit of clothes. But it feels whole, it feels smooth beneath her hands, even her trembling fingers as they reach her throat, the place where the iron collar burned itself to ash. Even that is whole and smooth. It ought to be scabbed, it ought to be a gluey ruin, weeping yellow and red, but there's nothing but knots of taut flesh. Yeah, I will try a slightly warmer one next time and see if that helps. I just didn't want to make it too warm for her, you know what I mean? The second mystery is the room, which is round and sunny, and which she has never seen before in her life. There are 3 beds set beneath 3 arched windows, and 3 woven rugs overlapping on a wooden floor. Juniper thinks a little giddily of the witch tale about the 3 bears and the lost maidens. There's a just rightness to this room that Juniper can't quite name, until she realizes that it reminds her of the attic where they slept as girls. It was the only part of the house she was sorry to see burn. The third mystery is the most subtle and the most troubling. The light here is all wrong. It feels like the middle of the day, but the sun falls slantwise through the windows, heavy and gold as a ripe apple. It's autumn sunlight, Juniper's sure of this, and she wonders dizzily if she slept through the summer. She finds no answers in the quiet dancing of the dust motes or the green tendrils of the ivy and rose that curl over the window ledges. She rustles in a chest at the foot of her bed and finds a wide-sleeved robe in undyed wool, with a single silver clasp in the shape of an S, or maybe it's a snake. She pulls it over her head, ignoring the pop and groan of muscles that would prefer to lie back down in the feathered bed and climb down the ladder. As a teeny baby, mine only didn't cry if you had a... You know what? She doesn't take a pacifier unless she's like in the car and panicked about it. That's the only time she'll take a pacifier. She's not a pacifier girly. Isn't that interesting? We tried. She just doesn't want it. Not interested. It's something that the doula told us to try to like fix her latch, and she just not interested. If we're in the car and she's mad because it's stop and go, like in the car if we're on the highway she's okay, but stop and go she doesn't like, but she won't do it. Yeah, weird, right? Yours didn't like him either. Zoe, huge pacifier girly. Ethan, no pacifiers. It's very interesting. They're all different. Like it was a struggle to get the pacifier away from Zoe. Ethan didn't care. Wasn't into it. Yeah, right? Every kid is different. It ends at the top of a staircase that corkscrews downward. Along its dizzy route, there are doors and alcoves, chairs piled with cushions, and windows with wide benches beneath them, and books. An amount and variety of books that Juniper finds, frankly, excessive. Juniper limps in a slow spiral through the tower, badly missing her red cedar staff. She's trailing one hand along the spines, a soft calf skin, a brittle leather, a ragged cotton, burlap, eelskin, iron, titles stamped in gold and char, something that whispers sweetly as she touches it, and something else that stings. She's a little surprised that she doesn't find her oldest sister lying on the steps, expired from sheer glee. And then, as she passes a delicately carved door, Juniper hears Bella's voice. Was thinking that we ought to start with the medicinal texts. The fever is horrendous this year, and with a coup, it would be what a coup it would be if we could cure it. Juniper's standing halfway up a tower, right against the stone of the outer wall. By every natural law, there should be nothing but empty air behind the little carved door. But when she opens it, she finds a smallish room, paneled in dark oak, with a wide table presently buried beneath scrolls and books and scattered ink pens. And Bella leans over one side, spectacles perched on her nose, and Quinn sits at the other, lips quirked at some private kind of joke. "Oh, June!" Bella straightens. "When did you get up? What possessed you to walk down all those stairs on your own?" She shuffles Juniper over to a chair with much muttering and flapping of her hands. "I'm fine," Juniper says, but her voice sounds like the drag of a match-tip against stone. It's harsh and grating, and she fends off the offered shawl and cushion. "Ah, Jesus. Morning, Cleo." "Morning? Where's that big black bird of yours, Belle, and how do I get one of them?" Bella circles the table and resettles herself on the arm of Quinn's chair. "Oh, Strix, you mean? He comes and goes as he pleases. Sometimes he vanishes altogether back to the other side." "Huh? And where's Agnes?" Juniper reaches for her without thinking, forgetting that the spell that bound them is now done and over. But the invisible line between them is still there, and she can feel Agnes somewhere in the city, toiling away. It takes Juniper far too long to realize that Bella's not answered her, and that she's even now shuffling a stack of pages on her desk rather than meeting Juniper's eyes. Agnes is no longer an active member of the Sisters of Avalon, by her own volition." "What?" She got scared and she quit," Quinn clarifies. Juniper feels a petulant heat in her throat. It was supposed to be the three of them in this all together, one for all and all for one. "But she was here. She called back the lost way with us. And you telling me that she just split after that?" Bella says softly. "She got more than just her own neck to look out for now, remember?" It's the closest Juniper has heard Bella come to defending their sister. And it's more dangerous now. I mean, look. Bella unfolds a wax-looking poster from a stack on her desk, and she hands it over. Juniper meets her own eyes on the page. Her face is sketched in charcoal. Standing between her sisters, Juniper is drawn tangled hair. Juniper is drawn tangled hair and snarled like the kind of witch who lives in the woods and runs with the wolves. Bella is sharp-boned and thin like the witch who lives in a spun sugar house and eats little children. Agnes is all curves and lips, more like a witch who lures men to her bed and leaves them cold and white in the morning. The caption reads, "The Sisters Eastwood, wanted for murder and most wicked witchcraft," and it offers a generous reward for information regarding their whereabouts. Juniper looks down at the monstrous faces there and feels a bitter twist in her gut. If it's a villain that they want, then who is she to deny them? Bella folds the poster away. "There are rumors, too," Quinn tells me. "Hysterical theories about your escape in the Black Tower scene on the solstice. The square is still full of birds, apparently, and a few churches have begun holding nightly vigils against the returning of witching. They're telling their congregants that a fever is punishment sent by God or the devil. They can't seem to agree on which. Oh, quit grinning like that, June. This is serious." "Jesus, Belle, will you lighten? There have been 19 arrests since the solstice." Quinn speaks very slowly and clearly, as if she thinks Juniper might need things spelled out one syllable at a time. "Most harmless street witches, an abortionist, a fortune teller, a woman who claimed to speak to the dead. Well, there have been raids, too. Women have been beaten bloody for nothing but a few feathers in their pocket or a questionable spice rack." Juniper's not grinning anymore. She hears Agnes asking what comes after and what it costs. "Oh, well, are the sisters all right?" Quinn makes a little yes and no bob of her head. Oh, 4 of them are still in the workhouse as far as I know. I still haven't found Jeannie, and a few others had an unpleasant encounter with the police. The Hull sisters were among the 19 arrests. Juniper can't think of anything to say. She can't hardly think around the queasy guilt that's crawling up her throat, and Quinn isn't even finished yet. There are calls for the mayor's resignation. The city council has formed a committee to investigate the rise of witchcraft. It's headed up by a Mr. Gideon Hill, who has climbed rather dramatically in the polls. At the sound of Hill's name, Juniper stops feeling guilty or queasy or guilty. Wait, what? Why did we say guilty twice? Okay, well, guilty twice apparently. The only thing that she feels is afraid. Yeah, he came to visit me in the deeps, she rasps. Who did? Gideon Hill. And no, he's not. I mean, he isn't. She swallows against the memory of those shadowy fingers pressing between her lips. Well, he's a witch. Bella and Quinn are quiet as Juniper stutters through the story, but she can tell that she isn't getting the story right. She tells them what happened, how he melted through the bars, how he pulled the confession out of her, and how he laughed, but she can't seem to tell them how it was, how his eyes flickered furtive and fearful, and how a stranger stood behind his face, how the shadows slid like oil between her teeth. Well, Bella said, adjusting her spectacles, I suppose if it's men's magic, it has proved somewhat efficacious for us. It stands to reason that a man might master some witchcraft if we can do theirs. No, it wasn't a little witchcraft. He said every shadow was his. He said a bluff, surely. It will require an unthinkable amount of power to control a city full of shadows. The ways would be ghastly, I imagine. We've heard about it. We would have heard about it if there were a dozen white lambs going missing or piles of bones in the city council's chambers. Don't you think we'd hear about that? Juniper sets her jaw. Listen, I know what I saw. We ought to figure out what the hell he is, at least, and send a message to Agnes and the other sisters and warn them that he knows their names and probably where they live and where they work, too. Bella taps a folded-up poster again. I suspect Agnes already knows. She was already planning to leave South Sybil, I believe, and work under a different name, and I recommend that the ladies at Salem Sin, well, if she should need to disguise herself... There's a gentleness to her tone now. She could not be more cautious than she already is. Juniper looks away, around the wooden-paneled room that really shouldn't exist. There's a narrow mullioned window on the east wall, and the light that shines through this one is wintry and pale, as if it's the month of January rather than the month of June. So, this is it? Juniper makes a ta-da kind of gesture with her hands. The Lost Way of Avalon. It is, I mean, did we... The question she wants to ask is a childish one, but she can't help herself. She says, Are we witches now? Neither of them laugh at her, though. Although Quinn's mouth does quirk a little, Bella sweeps her hand grandly at the pile of books and the notes on the table. Oh, we certainly have sufficient ways and words to become so, don't we? An entire library of spells and hexes, curses and charms, poisons, potions, conjuring recipes. Quinn and I are developing a system to catalog and translate all of this. Bella gives them a small and contented sigh. Translate them? Well, relatively few of them are in English, and none of them you might recognize as modern English. There are a few texts that are in Latin and Greek. More significantly, there are some in Arabic, classical forms of Persian, a Turkish language or two, and even something I think might be written in a form of Melinic from Old Mali. And once we translate them, there are witch ways to contend with, herbs that are native to the old world, for example, but which do not thrive in the new world, or ingredients which no longer existed, for example, a dragon's tooth or a siren's scale, that sort of thing. It will take a considerable amount of time and effort, but we've already found a stronger spell to move forward and another for rust. Bella pauses at this rhapsody to squint worriedly at Juniper. What's wrong? Juniper gives a shrug that tugs at the fresh scar around her neck. I guess I just didn't figure that the Lost Ways of Avalon would be a whole bunch of schoolwork.
Bella clucks her tongue at her. Oh, please. The last 3 witches of the West spent their final days assembling the world's greatest library of witchcraft, which Agnes and Quinn and I went through considerable difficulty to retrieve. I'm sorry that this disappoints you. Yeah, but even after you translate all these spells from Greek or hieroglyphics or what have you, are you sure we could even work them? A woman would need a good helping of witch blood, wouldn't she? Well, as to that, Cleo and I are no longer convinced that the magical prowess is a matter of inheritance. Bella actually gives a little clap as she says this, as if she cannot even contain herself. Juniper looks to Quinn, who translates, well, we don't know that blood counts for a damn thing when it comes to witching, is what she's saying. Juniper makes a skeptical, huh, that provokes her sister to rustle through a stack of scrolls. She unrolls one of them and points rather theatrically at an illustration painted in rusty reds and browns. It shows a woman surrounded by spikes of flames, and her mouth is open in a silent scream. Her skirts are already alight, and beneath her feet, where Juniper might expect to find dry brush or logs, is a heaped, charred pile of books. Bella gives the illustration an aggressive tap. Why were witches sentenced to burning anyway? Why not hanging or beheading or stoning? Back in Miss Hurston's one-room schoolhouse, Juniper was taught that witches were burned to remind folks of the hellfire that awaited them in the next life. But Juniper supposes that Miss Hurston also believed that bad behavior could be cured by prayer, a regular thwack with her yardstick, or perhaps her information was flawed. Her sister leans in closer, eyes bird bright behind her spectacles. What if they didn't start as witch burnings? What if these things all started as book burnings in the beginning? Juniper shrugs. I guess they could. Bella makes a noise like an irritable cat. Think, June, what did Mags tell us that every spell requires? The words, the will, and the way. Where in that list does it mention a woman's heritage or her blood? Bella gestures a little wildly to the carved door, to the tower behind it with full of endless shelves of books. I don't think they were burning bloodlines out at all. I think they were burning knowledge. Books and the women who wrote those books. I think they stole the words and the ways from us and left nothing behind but our will. Bella's face is full of fierce intent, but Juniper feels as if something inside her has punctured and it's slowly deflating. Some part of her has been childishly hoping that they were the long-lost granddaughters of the mother, descendants of Morgan Le Fay or Lilith or even Eve herself. But perhaps they weren't born for greatness after all. Perhaps no one was. Bella's still theorizing, speaking mostly to herself now. I think the maiden and the mother and the crone... Oh, sorry. Bella speaking. I think the maiden and the mother and the crone weren't specially powerful for any reason other than the knowledge they kept. I wish, her voice goes a little sheepish and young sounding, I wish I could ask them. It would be infinitely more convenient than translating and transcribing all of this. Juniper thinks privately that it would be infinitely more convenient if they lost the power of witches and if it had been returned by enchanting a broomstick or a potion that you drank at the half moon rather than a bunch of books in a dead language. She plucks moodily at Bella's notes, admiring a diagram of a woman splitting flames from her mouth. Is this a fire-starting spell? It seems so, yes. Can I try it? Can you start a magical fire in a tower full of paper and leather? Juniper considers this for a moment. I'm right. What if it were a very small fire? Bella shoos her from the room with instructions to eat and return to bed. Juniper limps the rest of the way down the endless stairs, glaring a little resentfully at the spines of books that she can't read, watching the strange slant of the light through the windows. She finds the bread and the cheese, but takes it outdoors to eat it. She's resting her spine against the sun-warmed stone of the tower, and she thinks of Agnes back at some loom, head bowed, of Frankie and Victoria and Tennessee and all the others stuck in the workhouse caged like crows, and it doesn't sit right that Juniper should be here beneath the twisted boughs of Avalon, hurt but now healed, while the women of New Salem are left to cower and creep undefended with nothing but their will to protect them. So give them the words and the ways. It's like someone was whispering in Juniper's ear, in a voice like rose leaves ruttling. Juniper wonders if the Deeps shook something loose in her skull or if the tower is haunted, and then she decides she doesn't care because the ghost has a damn good point. She wanted the Lost Way to be a miracle cure, and she waved a wand and it would just turn every woman into a witch. But if there isn't any such thing as witch blood, if none of them are born for greatness and all they have are moldering stacks of books and overgrown towers that just move south of somewhere, perhaps they have to make these miracles themselves. When Juniper comes clattering back up the stairs and announces her intention to slip back into New Salem and spread the good word of witchcraft among its women, like Johnny Appleseed if he had a bag of spells instead of seeds, Bella is not especially surprised. Yes, we had the baby. Juniper has always been the wild one among them. Bella feels a spark of her spirit burning in line between them, white hot, the line which shouldn't exist now, which is the subject of several pages of Bella's notes and queries and theoretical musings, and now she knows she will have to lock her sister up in the tower if she wants to stop her, and even that would merely just delay her. Juniper isn't the sort of maiden to wait around for rescue. No, this is a very, very bad idea. Bella says it mostly out of the dim sense that she would like to have the opportunity to say, "I told you so," after the dust settles. The witches of Old Salem called back the lost ways and started slinging spells and cursing enemies left and right, and look how that turned out. Juniper shrugs. So I'll be more careful than they were. You don't really have a reputation for being careful, June. Why did we do all this exactly? Why did we even call back the Lost Way? Juniper's hands are on her hips, her head tilted, defiant. The skin around her neck has a raw shine to it now, and her voice is lower and smokier than it used to be, as if she has hot coal in her mouth. At St. Hale's, they taught Bella that pain was the greatest teacher. How is it now that Juniper never seems to learn this? To save you, Bella answers, and beside her, Quinn adds something beneath her breath that sounds suspiciously like, "You ungrateful wretch," but she doesn't say it aloud. A guilty bluish tint rises in her cheeks, but Juniper's hand remains on her hips. Sure, yeah, to save me, but I meant like, why was I in the Deeps in the first place? Murder, Quinn suggests, and Bella lets out a half laugh before she catches it. Juniper waves a harassed hand at the pair of them. They threw me in the Deeps because we was stirring things up. We were reminding this city that we were witches once, and we might be again. Her voice husks lower, and it was working. People were listening, more than listening. How many names are written in your notebook anyway? 19 arrests, you said? Should we hide away while our sisters suffer for our sins? Are we such cowards, Bella? The word coward wraps tightly around Bella's throat, a blouse that no longer fits. She meets Quinn's eyes. I beg you not to deceive yourself, she hears. No, she says steadily, I am not. Quinn exhales. Well, that's good, seeing as I already have supplied the daughters with at least a half a dozen spells. Juniper cackles while Bella gapes. You already? She feels old and stuffy and librarianish and, honestly, a little betrayed. Quinn sobers. Oh, I didn't tell anyone where I got them or how to find us. I think my mother at least suspects the Lost Way is no longer lost, but you need not worry. We know all about secrets on the South Side. I see. Well, Bella draws in a deep breath. It's hardly fair to favor our daughters or sisters. Shall we even the score? Juniper smiles so widely that her lips crack and they bleed. That evening, just as dusk purples towards night and the first stars open like white eyes above them, Juniper opens the tower door. Her pockets bristle with witchways and her cloak drapes dark and long behind her. She hardly seems to feel the wounds and bruises still mottling her flesh. The problem with saving someone, Bella thinks, is that they so often refuse to remain saved. They careen back out into the perilous world, inviting every danger and calamity, quite careless of the labor it took to rescue them in the first place. Where will you go first? Bella asks, and Juniper looks over her shoulder with a fey wink. Oh, I don't want to spoil the surprise. You can read about it in the paper tomorrow. Newspaper. Suspected witches escape from St. Jude's workhouse for women. 5 women now at large. June 24th,
1893, the New Salem Post. The 5 women, 4 of whom were taken into custody on the last full moon in the midst of the satanic ritual conducted in the heart of the New Salem Cemetery, were still in their cells at the workhouse on the evening of the 23rd. In the morning, the guards found their doors locked, but the cells were indeed empty. One witness on the street reports seeing 6 bats flit from the workhouse. That night, another claims that it was an owl carrying a long golden rope. All of them agreed that they saw a dark-haired woman with a pronounced lip in the vicinity. Our readers are asked to report any sightings of this young woman or the escaped suspects: Victoria V. Hull, Tennessee T. Hull, Frankie U. Black, Gertrude R. Bonin, and Alexandra V. Dominovich. To the New Salem Police Department.
Another newspaper.
Break-in at the Hall of Justice, June 26, 1893. The Times of Salem. The New Salem Hall of Justice ought to be the safest place in the city to store one's belongings, but officers did confirm this morning that the personal effects of a Miss James Juniper Eastwood, including a number of ungodly herbs and potions, as well as an antique locket containing human hair, they have all been stolen. Several other alterations were made to the hall during the night, including the disappearance of several warrants and bonds, and vulgar alterations of several officers' badges.
Another paper.
Dr. Marvel's anthropological exhibition shuts its doors, June 29, 1893, the New Salem Post. Following the disappearance of most of its occupants, Dr. Marvel's magnificent anthropological exhibition will be closed to the public. This beloved attraction, designed to educate the public about many fascinating peoples of the world, is no stranger to difficulties or irregularities. Dr. Marvel himself recounted to the Post the many occasions on which his subjects have resisted efforts to educate the public. Had a pair of Indian witches last summer that ran off 3 or 4 times before I found their satchel of shells and bones. And a little Hungarian girl last Christmas, she cursed her handler so that the smallest ray of sunlight burned his flesh, but I never seen anything like this. And approximately 10:30 last Sunday evening, the last witch doctor of the Congo began to laugh. She continued laughing until several staff members left their beds to investigate and found all the members of the exhibition missing. Where the witch doctor ought to have lain, they found only rusted chains and white grinning skulls. Each staff member who saw the skull that night has since been plagued by bad dreams and poor sleep.
Another article.
A declaration for New Cairo, July 4th, 1893, a letter from the editors of the New Salem Defender. The recent raids conducted by the police department have left 7 buildings burnt in New Cairo and ruined the livelihoods of several working families. The editors of this paper soundly reject the council's argument that such raids are necessary for public safety, and note that none of them produced any evidence of witchcraft at all. If the authorities of New Salem insist on maintaining this adversarial position toward our neighborhood, perhaps it is time for New Cairo to follow that hallowed American tradition: succession. Dun dun dun.
All right. Well, that was a nice medium-sized chapter. I'm going to get another sip of coffee and we can read chapter 24, because I think we have time to do so. But I want to reach my coffee first. Coffee, please. I need you. Please, coffee. Yeah. Hi. Hello. Hello, sweet angel. Oh, coffee. Sweetie pie. All right. We had another chapter in us. Yes, yes, yes. Coffee, please stay on the table. All right, how's everyone doing? Are we all still alive and well? This is chapter 24, and here we go. Maiden mother and the crone guard the bed that I lie on, one to watch and one to pray, and one to keep the shadows at bay. A warding spell requiring salt and thistle seed. Well, this is interesting. It's a spell to keep shadows at bay. Based on the description of Gideon Hill thus far, I'm going to go ahead and say that maybe we all need a spell to keep the shadows at bay because someone feels suspiciously like a shadow. Anyway, let's read. Agnes Amaranth is nothing these days. She used to be something. The city is wallpapered with her face, beautiful and terrible. Her name is written large above her crimes, but neither the face nor the name now belongs to her. Thanks to the ladies of Salem's Sin, Agnes's hair is the dull, forgettable color of sewer water, and her face is pocked and rough as the surface of the moon. Mr. Malton has barely glanced at her when she turned up to work back at the Baldwin Brothers mill asking for work. He shoved the record book across the desk, and she wrote the first name she could think of, Calliope Cole. Each time someone says the name, she startles, because she hasn't heard her mother's name since she was a girl. She gains a reputation in the mill as being flighty, perhaps a little simple. She doesn't mind. She keeps to herself the way she used to before the summers of the sisters and witching. The mill girls are content to ignore her, or at least most of them are. Yulia offered her a fresh, knuckle-grinding handshake on her first day, and then she squinted hard at the familiar gray of her eyes. Ha! She grunted. It's clever using a different name. We should find a new meeting house, too, huh? Agnes shrugged. Yeah, I suppose you should. I wish you luck. Agnes watched Yulia's face turn from confusion to disdain. I see. They locked my girl up for a week and fed her stale bread and rancid butter, but she's not afraid. Agnes refrained from saying anything untoward like, good for her, or she should be, or what about you? Aren't you afraid for your daughter? But eventually, Yulia left her all alone. She must have told the other sisters not to bother with Agnes because after that they turned their backs to her as she passed, their noses high. Only Annie Flynn still offers her the occasional cordial nod. Once she even stopped Agnes in the alleyway to invite her to the first meeting of the sisters since that disastrous first spectacle. Your sisters will be there, I heard. Yeah, tell them, well, I don't know, give them my love. I will. Her gentleness was somehow worse than Yulia's derision. My cousin's been looking for you. May I tell him where to find you? Agnes made a jerky, uncertain gesture that might have been a nod. She's staying now at the Three Blessings boarding house, which smells exactly as cabbagey as South Sybil, but it costs 2 cents less per night. She might have paid extra for a private room, except that she'd taken her carefully hoarded coin jar to the cemetery and left them beside the golden tree. They were gone the next day. The following night, Agnes found her jar returned to her window ledge, but instead of coins, it was full of thistle seed and salt and feathers, with tight rolled scraps of paper tucked into the lids. She unrolled them to find the words and the ways written in her oldest sister's neatest script, a spell for sending messages by mockingbird, binding wounds, for soothing fussy babies and getting milk stains out of fronts of shirts, and for keeping the shadows at bay. Agnes read the last one several times before she cast salt and thistle across her threshold and whispered those words. Afterwards, she shuffled a little scrap of paper beneath the mattress. She keeps meaning to burn those papers. What if the boarding house is raided? What if one of the other girls finds them? But she never does burn them. At night, she dreams of sisters. During the day, she tries really hard to forget them. It's difficult to forget when every story in the city, every rumor, every whispered conversation, every article seems to be about them. The girls who busted out of prison, the women who turned their husbands into pigs, the witch doctor who's still running loose. But those were merely stories witnessed by a sufficient number of people to be printed in the papers. Agnes heard dozens of less credible stories. Colics cured, bones mended, lightning called and locks picked, machines busted and debts forgotten. None of the women appear to have any difficulty working the spells that they are given. Agnes wonders if their witch blood was awakened somehow by the return of Avalon, or if the witch blood never really mattered much in the first place. She wonders what theories Bella and Quinn are working on and if Juniper has heard her familiar yet. If the sisters are planning any more spectacles, and if Gideon Hill has spies among them. The baby thumps inside her. Never mind, baby girl, it's just you and me. By the beginning of July, the mill is so hot that the 4 girls faint before noon. At 5, Agnes lines up with the other girls, their cheeks boiled and red, their hair slicked to their necks, and even Mr. Moulton hardly has any energy to pinch or leer, but he merely sits, fanning himself in a whisky sweat, and Agnes passes him with her head down and her sewer-colored hair draped in front of her face. She steps into the alley and takes a single breath of clean summer air.
Agnes, is that you?
Mr. August Lee is waiting for her, sleeves rolled to his elbows, his hair tousled gold, blinking uncertainty at Agnes's hair and pockmarks. She dips her head to him. "It's Calliope, if you please, sir," she says, and she meets his eyes with her own. Thunder gray, and relief spreads over his face. He takes 2 steps forward, swaying as if he wants to step closer, but he doesn't quite dare.
Of course. My mistake. Listen, I was hoping that we could talk.
Yeah, about what?
I only wanted to apologize, and to help, maybe.
Agnes knows that she should tell him and his tousled hair to leave her alone, to go home and to forget anyone but the fleas in her to go home and forget her name. It's been so long since she's spoken to anyone but the fleas in her mattress, so she nods once and takes his arm as he offers it. The evening is thick and blue. It's too hot to remain indoors for long, so the occupants of the West Babel tenement are crowded onto stoops and balconies, their summer drunk. Several of them greet Mr. Lee by name, and a few of them watch the sway of Agnes's belly, and they raise their eyebrows at him. He doesn't seem to care. Mr. Lee steers 3 blocks west of a pair of double doors through which a great noise of music and light are pouring out. Agnes arches her brow at him. "Look, I'm in no condition for dancing, Mr. Lee."
"No, of course, Miss Calliope, but no one will overhear us in there."
They settle in at the table in the dimmest corner of the dance hall, nearly invisible beneath the haze of tobacco and ether. What's the matter, sweetheart? What's the matter? Yeah? Sleepy girl? Sleepy girl? You should be sleepy after all that. They settle at a table in the dimmest corner of the dance hall, nearly invisible beneath the haze of tobacco and ether. Mr. Lee seems content simply to watch her in silence, his hands pressed to the frost of his beer glass. That is, until she asks, why are you here, Mr. Lee? I thought you'd be back in Chicago by now." He looks out at the press and swirl of bodies, and he doesn't answer directly.
"I grew up in West Babel. Did you know that? My folks split a room with Annie and her family. 12 of us were packed in like fish into 2 rooms. My father worked for Boyles over in the Sallows."
Boyles is a meat-packing factory crouched onto the west side of the Thorn, all grease and offal and missing fingers.
"Yeah, people said that he was a fighter, but he wasn't. Not really. He was a dreamer, always on about 8-hour work days and workmen's rights and utopia. It's just that dreamers generally wind up fighting. He started having men over to our place and drawing up charts. He was a half a step away from a real union when they got him."
Who got him? Agnes doesn't know why he's telling her all this, but she likes the warmth of his voice when he mentions his father. She wonders what it would feel like to mourn your daddy rather than to merely outlive him. Lee takes a drink, sets his glass precisely back into the damp ring that it left behind.
"Boyle's men, we think. They said that it was an accident, that he was fooling around on the line, but we saw him after. I don't know, a man who could contrive to hang himself on a meat hook without at least a little help."
Another drink, much longer this time. Agnes wants to cover his hand with hers. She presses her fingers flat to the table.
"Lawyers from the plant came to see us a few days after. They asked my mother to sign some papers swearing that her husband's death had been his own doing. They sat at our kitchen table and they handed her a pen. She looked at me. I was only 14, but I was old enough to know the truth. And then she looked away and she signed that paper. And that was that. I wasn't home, if I could help it, after. I fell in with Dad's old friends and I went looking for trouble. I found some in Chicago."
Lee rubs at the scar along his jaw.
"And it was, well, honestly, it was awful, to tell the truth. Uglier and meaner than I thought it would ever be, but it was grand, too. You know, to be part of something, to find a fight worth living for, worth having."
There's an earnestness in his voice that makes him sound young and desperately naive. Agnes wonders if he is a dreamer, too, and she asks him again, lower this time, "All right, so why are you still here?" That sweet smile is hitched sideways by his scar.
"Because I found an even bigger fight, I guess."
His eyes flash up to hers, and, oh, honey, what is it? What is it? What is it? Yeah? And I found a woman who won't look away. Her stomach sours with shame. Oh, wouldn't I, August? Agnes doesn't say anything for a long time, digging her thumbnail into the soft wood of the table, thinking about when to fold and when to fight, and she realizes that her thumb is sketching 3 woven circles, and then she stops. When is she due? Lee's looking at the dent where her belly presses against the table. Bally moon. The midwife says she's big, though, so I guess it could be sooner. Agnes doesn't mention the flutter of fear in her belly, the memory of her mother's skin whiter than wax, and maybe Mama Mags could have saved her. Okay, maybe not. Mags told her once that their family lost more women to birthing than they did men to the battlefield. Lee's voice goes a little lower, almost fearful. Who was he? It takes Agnes a long minute to understand what he's referring to. She hasn't thought twice about Floyd Matthews all summer. Nobody. A nice boy from uptown. Did you love him? She can tell by the braced shape of his shoulders that the question matters a great deal for him, but she wishes that it didn't. What? What's that? What's that about? Honey. Honey. That's a big cry. That's a big cry. Sweetheart. Honey. What? What's a big cry about? Okay. That's a big cry. Yeah. Honey. What is it? Are we dreaming? You having a bad dream? Wake up then. Hi. Yeah, you can wake up. You don't have to have bad dreams. Wake up, sweetheart. Wake up. Yeah. Wake up. Wake up. Hey, you can wake up. Sweetheart. Sweetheart. No bad dreams. No bad dreams. Yeah. No bad dreams. Okay. Okay. We don't need a big cry. No. It's okay. Yeah. We were having a bad dream, it seems, but we're okay now. She's not even awake. That cry was a sleep cry. Yeah, well, our eyes are still closed. She went right through that one. I don't know what it was, but it was real sad, whatever it was. Maybe the milk went dry. Oh my. What could you possibly have bad dreams about? Your life is so good. Was it the bath? Did you dream about the bath? I bet it was the bath. Oh, do you think she's having a nightmare about her bath? Any of you who have breastfed before, does your chest ache when they cry? I can feel it. It hurts now. But she's not awake, so I can't even feed her because she's not even awake. You want to make mommy's little chest hurt? Yeah. She's still asleep. Okay. Well, let's continue until she wakes up, shall we? The question matters a great deal to him, but she wishes that it didn't. I know, it was so sad, right? No, August, I didn't love him. His whole body seems to exhale at that. But the more interesting question is, did he love me? All right, did he love you? He asks obediently. There's a puzzled crease between his brows. Yeah, only some of me. I'm tired of making do with some and half measures. Agnes watches his mouth open and close and then open again, and suddenly she's sure that he's on the verge of making some declaration or vow because he thinks, this poor fool, that he loves her too, and all of her. Because he doesn't know how cold and cruel she is beneath the softness of her skin. He doesn't know anything at all that she would do to survive. She stands up from the table. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to kick the tripod. She stands up from the table, pushing her chair back. I've done the same thing your mother did. She aims it like a slap and rocks back with the force of it. Did you ever think that that would have happened? What would have happened if she'd fought? How easy it would be for the lawyers to take a child away from a woman who's alone? Did you ever think what it must have cost her to choose her living son over her dead husband? She sees the sudden whiteness of his face that he's never had. Sometimes you can't fight. Sometimes you can only survive. August swallows once, and yet you're still fighting. Agnes draws her half cloak back over her shoulders. Yeah, if you and your boys want to help the sisters, you can talk to Annie or Yulia. Don't talk to me.
Wait, why? No, what are you doing?
She looks back once before she leaves, a last greedy glance at the tangle of his hair and the angle of his scar. Survivin', she says. Juniper is a ghost these days. She's a silhouette on the windowsill, an apparition in the alley, a woman there and gone again. She's a pocketful of witch ways and a voice whispering the words right to the woman, the right words to the right woman, and the clack of the cane against the cobbles. She's rarely out in daylight, and she finds she likes the city better at night. It's stranger and wider, and full of soft voices and scurrying feet. It reminds her of running on the mountainside after dark, sure-footed and free, certain that if she ran fast enough, she would become a doe or a vixen, anything but a girl. Now she runs along the alley rather than deer trails, and ducks beneath laundry lines rather than pine boughs. Now she runs towards rather than away, and she no longer runs alone. There are fewer Sisters of Avalon than there once were. Some of them were caught, some of them left town half-skipped ahead of the law, some of them were just scared, and they no longer have anything like a headquarters. Instead, they meet wherever they may, an attic above a hat shop that smells of glue and felt, Inez's gilded parlor where they drink wine from golden goblets and laugh themselves sick, perhaps a church basement that makes Juniper's heart race in her throat. Juniper and Bella bring the sisters' spells written out in plain English, and the words disappear up sleeves and down boots. There are whispers by those who can read and to those who can't, stitched into handkerchiefs and hems, tucked into the pages of romance novels so frivolous that no man is likely to touch them, and in return the sisters have given them bread, soft-baked potatoes, hot pies wrapped in dish towels, baskets of apples. They don't ask where the Eastwoods live, or how they disappeared so thoroughly that neither the police nor the angry mob, nor those eerie, unnatural shadows can find them. They look at Juniper and Bella with shining eyes, waiting for the next trick, the next miracle, the next proof that the witching has returned. But for tonight's miracle, Juniper requires help. She strides down a dark street, leaning on the slender cane that is a piss-poor replacement for her cedar staff. Two women walk beside her, a young nurse named Lacey Rollins, who works at St. Charity's Hospital, and a Miss Jenny Lind. Jenny had turned up at the sisters' last meeting looking different. Her skirts were fancier and frothier than Juniper remembered, and she wore a chestnut wig instead of her own corn silk-colored hair. But mostly it was her eyes that struck Juniper. They were colder, harder, like twice-beaten iron. "Yeah, where the hell have you been?" Juniper asks, thumping so hard on her back that Jenny coughed a little. They sent me to a different workhouse, and they released me into the custody of my family. It took me a while to get away. Inez gave me a place." She looks over Juniper's shoulder and smiled at Inez. "And all of this." Jenny gestures at her fine skirts. Juniper hadn't seen anything then, but she had herself a little think later about it. Why would Jenny be sent someplace different than all the other girls? Why would she be released without a trial? Before the sisters left that evening, she pulled Jenny aside and said, "Are you by chance the daughter of some fabulously wealthy member of New Salem society? Who pulled the strings to let you be springed the second you got caught? And who have you now broken ties with?" Jenny blinked at her once and then murmured, "Oh, no." "What? Oh, honey. Honey. More bad dreams about baths? If you wake up, you can eat. If you wake up, you can eat." "Yeah, I know, but you gotta wake up. You gotta wake up to eat. Yeah." "We broke ties a long time ago." She fingered her crooked nose. "Huh. Well, next time you're home, steal us a couple of candlesticks, will ya? We could use the cash." A genuine smile comes across Jenny's face. "Yes, ma'am." And now Jenny follows behind Lacey as they creep through the iron double doors of St. Charity's Hospital. It looks nice enough inside. Halls of green tile and white plaster, rows of doors with neatly painted numbers, except there don't seem to be any windows. The smell turns Juniper's stomach. It's lye and lesions, stained sheets, and stale air. Lacey pauses before a door at the end of the hall, and Juniper tries not to look very closely at the smears of rust and yellow on its surface. She can almost feel the heat of fevered bodies behind it. "Ready?" Lacey asks, and they are ready. They work 3 spells that night. The first is for sleep, requiring crushed lavender and an old prayer. "Now I lay thee down to sleep, Only when the rustle of bodies falls still do they creep through the door and into the sick ward. The second spell is for driving down a fever, requiring a red thread tied around fingers slack with sleep. Juniper and the others move from bed to bed to bed, endless double lines of them occupied by women, children, and ruddy-cheeked men. This strikes Juniper as strange. Surely a natural illness ought to fall hardest on the youngest and the oldest. The third spell is for healing, requiring willow bark and silkweed and knocked knuckles. This one proves more difficult than the others. Juniper hisses words, veins hot with witching, and feels them vanish into the air as if swallowed down some cold and invisible throat. A chill creeps up Juniper's spine, and she looks down at the dark twist of the shadows and wonders if somehow, Gideon is watching her even now, if he's working against this small act of mercy they provide. Juniper has asked around about Gideon Hill and found his life bafflingly ordinary. As a boy, he went by his first name, Wit or Wart or something equally unfortunate like that, and he spent his time reading novels and daydreaming. And then his favorite uncle passed away, leaving him a considerable sum of money and a pitiful black dog. Hill sobered considerably. There was no missing interlude of years where he might have disappeared to study ancient magics in the library of Old Cairo, no wicked grandmother who might have passed on her witching, no indication that Hill was anything but balding, middle-aged gentleman who wanted to be the mayor. And now Juniper grits her teeth and speaks the spell again. She bends against the will of whatever it is that opposes them, joining hands with Jenny and Lacey, and the magic burns reluctantly into the room. Lungs clear around her, bruises fade from beneath tired eyes, pulses steady. I know, honey. I know. I know. I know. My sweet angel, it's okay. It's okay. Now okay, sorry I said that. Juniper grins at the bodies, now sleeping softly and well in their cots, leaning heavily on her spindly cane. She can hardly hear the headlines shouted by the news. She can already hear the headlines shouted by the newsboys tomorrow. Witchcraft works miracles. Fevers are cured. She limps into the night with her sisters at her side. Newspaper article. Signs of witchcraft at charity fevers worsen. July 12th, 1893. The New Salem Post. Miss Verity Kendrick Johnson, a spokesperson for the St. Charities Hospital, has confirmed to the Post that the patients of the first floor ward were found with definite signs of witchcraft about their persons and denied any member of the staff would have participated in such devilry. Miss Kendrick Johnson further advises people seeking miracles should look elsewhere. None of the bewitched patients have shown the slightest sign of improvement. Their condition may have in fact worsened, and several of the weakest patients have since passed away. You should put your faith in science and the study of man, recommends Kendrick Johnson, not stardust and sin. I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Mommy's here. It's okay. Article 2. Arrest made in connection with the Porter case. July 6th, 1893. The Salem Times. Police have taken Miss Claudia Porter into custody in connection... Oh, yeah? Wake up so you can eat. Honey. Honey. Shh. Yeah. If you wake up, you can eat. I know. I know. Okay. 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 Yeah. You know what? We'll read the rest of the articles tomorrow. I'm going to wake her up myself. I'm going to make her wake up. I know. Okay. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll finish the articles. Okay. Okay.